Alright, so you're sick of not having any friends that like D&D, so you finally decided to learn how to DM so you can make some new ones? Or is that just me? Cringe jokes aside, congratulations. By clicking on this singular video, you have done the #1 most daunting task in learning how to DM. And that's getting over the initial hesitation to learn, thinking it's too difficult, because it's not. It might seem intimidating, but trust me, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. So many people get it wrong when they say that you need to know all of this mumbo jumbo and have read every single book ever published by Wizards of the Coast in order to be qualified to DM. Well, spoiler alert, but there is no qualification test to become a DM. It's just not there. Honestly speaking, the only thing you really need to know when you start to DM is pretty much the basic rules of the edition you're going to start DMing. And even then, you really only need to know how to run combat and how ability checks work. As long as you have an understanding of that, you can pretty much make up the rest from there. Honestly, I believe a lot of people get the whole DM thing wrong, and what I mean by that is they think that the main skill of a DM is remembering all of the rules and remembering everything about the game, when in practicality, it's just not practical. I believe the main skill of a DM is actually their narrative storytelling. All you have to do is simply narrate a story and make it interesting and entertaining for the party. That's it. The encyclopedic knowledge of all of the books ever published by Wizards of the Coast isn't a skill, it's more information retention. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I never got above a C in high school English. Now, I don't know if that's because I really hated reading Romeo and Juliet for like the 3rd time in my junior year of high school and was just rebelling against my teacher, or the fact that I can't remember my birthday half the time, but I can't be expected to remember everything, it's just too much. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is why there's books. You can refer to them whenever you need to, and it's actually quite clever how they work. When you don't know something, look it up. I know, it's crazy, right? Joking aside, it's okay not to know something, so try not to worry about it so much. Trust me, eventually you're going to know everything there is to know about the game, it's just going to take some time. Contrary to popular belief, Matthew Mercer was not birthed reciting the player's handbook. He had to work at it just like everybody else did. What Matthew Mercer has had is a whole lot of time to practice and hone those skills and that knowledge, which you'll get eventually. Honestly, if you're just going to be playing D&D with your friends and you're the DM, chances are they don't know the game either, and that means they don't have anything to judge you upon. And if you play with more veteran players or past DMs, chances are they're just going to love the opportunity to get to play the game rather than run the game, and they're going to be more than willing to help you out in your first times running it. It's quite literally like riding a bike. The more you practice DMing and the storytelling aspect of it, the more the knowledge will come. It just is a time thing. And until that time where you have that encyclopedic knowledge you want, you always have the books to refer back to. Once you accept that and get into the swing of things, you're ready to move on to step 2, which is the rule of cool. If you've already heard of this, congrats, you are already a cool dude. But now, if you haven't heard of it, welcome to the organization of cool dudes. The rule of cool is simply if your players want to try something, let them try it. If a player wants to jump over a lava river and sidekick an enemy into the pool of lava, that sounds super cool, but he's got to go ahead and roll for it. Sure, it's unlikely and unrealistic, but it's Dungeons & Dragons, it's not meant to be realistic. Let your imagination run wild and have fun with your friends. He either succeeds and looks like a badass hero, or he trips and falls and it's a funny story for all of your friends to share. It's just all in how you narrate it. Knowing when to implement this rule comes with time, but honestly, the general rule of thumb is, if the player wants to try it, go ahead and let them try it. The only caveat to that is if their action is going to impede on another player's fun. At that point, I kind of say, okay, maybe not. Which leads us into our 3rd tip, D&D is a cooperative game. It's not the DM versus the players, it's actually quite the opposite of that. You're all playing D&D together to have fun, and you count as a player. So come together with your friends and play the game that you all want to play. It can be D&D by the book, a variation of Pathfinder, or anything in between. It's all up to you what you're going to have fun with. The official rules of D&D actually say that this is more like a guideline than an actual set of rules, and you can change them however you see fit. If your fun is something from not in the rules, who the hell cares? Keep playing, and as long as you and everyone else is having fun, why the hell does it matter if it's not written in a book? Which leads me to the last kind of tip or step or whatever I've been calling it for this video, which is don't get ahead of your players. One of the best parts about being a DM is creating a story, creating something for the players to interact with, and it can be very exciting when the players get to interact or see large plot points. That's good because your excitement about the story rubs off on your players, and then they get really excited and invested about what's going on. The one issue with this is that a lot of newer DMs kind of tend to rush things. You may have created an amazing story with super interesting NPCs and villains and an amazing plot. But if your party's more interested in a shopkeep with a funny voice and a pet goose named Walnut, why not let them run with it? Sure, I know you're probably excited to get the players interested and invested in the story, but remember, you've written the plot, they're writing the story. The players don't know what you know. All they know right now is there is a duck named Walnut and they want it. The players will eventually find the bread trail that you left out for them, but there's no harm in letting them spend an hour trying to steal a duck. If anything, it's almost always worth it to let these scenes play out because the shenanigans players tend to get into when they have these crazy ideas is always hysterical. And who knows, the story might become how they stole Walnut the duck only for him to become the mascot of peace and justice throughout the land. So remember, no matter how excited you get about the story, it's always going to be there. Once they get past it and move on, you're not only going to be excited sharing that moment with them, but you're also going to have a lot of fun weaving Walnut into the story. So remember, if your players ever spend an hour trying to steal a duck, let them have some fun. The story's going to be there in the end anyways. And that's all I have for today's video. Now this video was specific for newer DMs, but I have done other videos for just DMs in general in the past that I've linked in the description below if you want to go check those out. I read every single one, reply to nearly all of them, and honestly, I do love hearing your guys' feedback. Anyways, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on Friday.